Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here, wham, John Sneisen, and more trouble for Argentina. We've talked about this before. I believe we might be seeing the next big Venezuela happen before our eyes, something that Argentina is used to because they've gone through massive inflationary and hyperinflationary events over and over and over and over and over again in the last 100 years. It's absolutely ridiculous. You can't learn from the mistakes. Well, unfortunately, it's just massive government and central planners forcing debt down the populace's throat, and it's absolutely disgusting. So anyway, there's this new article out of The Guardian that says Argentina raises interest rates to 60% to shore up peso. Turkish lira falls 4% against US dollar as concerns grow, crises in emerging markets. And as the article here goes into, Argentina has hiked interest rates to 60% as it takes dramatic steps to restore confidence in its plunging currency, in the latest sign of turmoil among emerging market economies this year. The Argentine Central Bank raised the cost of borrowing by 15 percentage points on Thursday in an attempt to shore up the peso, which has plummeted in value. The central bank said it would keep rates unchanged at 60% until at least December. The peso dropped amid intense trading on foreign exchanges, falling by more than 10% despite the bank's rate move in the most severe drop for the currency since it was floated in 2015. $1.77 is now worth about more than 39 pesos, having been worth about 18 pesos at the start of the year. Paul Greer of the city fund manager Fidelity said countries across emerging markets were being targeted by investors due to their economic problems, including high levels of debt and imports. There are no easy answers for Argentina to its current woes, he said. Anyways, so this is another major issue facing Argentina. 60%. Seriously, I mean, what do you even do with interest rates that high? How are people managing? John, can you go into this insanity?
Well, it's just unbaffling. Like this is like it was 40%. I remember we had to do a video. It was like 40%. Like this is completely insane. We were like, what's going on? It's it's utterly insane. And then of course now with high interest rates and then a panic, just trying to make the interest rates higher so the peso doesn't run on the bank and send it even further spiraling down. Now of course with the panic there and the peso going through the bottom hole, well of course what is the IMF wanting then, and what's happening there, Josh?
Yeah, well, as this article out of Bloomberg says, Argentina peso tumbles ahead of crucial IMF verdict. And as it goes into, the International Monetary Fund said it will consider Argentina's request to speed up disbursements from a $50 billion credit line as the government seeks to restore investor confidence. The IMF responded about 9 hours after President Mauricio Macri surprised the nation by saying in a televised speech that Argentina needed the money to demonstrate it had enough cash on hand to fund the 2019 budget without going further into debt. His statement, which suggested the IMF had signed off but carried few details, was meant to reassure investors. Instead, it sparked confusion among traders who have complained about poor communication and disjointed plans. The peso fell 4.8% on Thursday to a fresh record low. So, what do you think, John?
Well, again, it's just them panicking because they have so much US dollar denominated debt on their books, and now they're trying to pay down that debt in order to not go bankrupt. Because look at Venezuela, for example, with over $42 billion worth of US dollar denominated debt, and actually on top of that they have a whole bunch of other even Norway has made a loan to them in Venezuela, and who's going to pay that back? It's never going to happen. They're completely, they're going to default. But of course, no, they haven't defaulted. Well, they're a zombie economy. That's what I call it. We were talking about in just a recent video that we did about the banks and what's happening there. They can't even go bankrupt properly. Well, it's all zombie nations now. Like we went from zombie corporations to zombie banks, and now we're at the zombie nation level, which is Puerto Rico is a semi-nation, and then of course you got Venezuela, you got South Sudan, you got of course Argentina now, Brazil is moving in, Turkey. All these exempt markets are all these emerging markets are really starting to tumble, Josh.
Yeah, and then we have the zombie populace that knows nothing about what goes on around them and doesn't know why they're getting more and more poor and ending up in bread lines, etc., etc., etc. All these, I mean, all fiat currencies eventually revert to their true value of zero. Going back to 1024 AD, it has always happened. It's inevitable. Absolutely no way to resist that fact, because if you centralize a currency into oblivion, when you have crazy fractional reserve lending, when you have this massive amount of printing, this printing press going off 24/7, completely destroying any scarcity that that currency may have, you will see it go down in value, and you will see inflation go up, and you will see things go up in price, and it'll be impossible to keep up with it. No matter how high wages are, you can't keep up with this massive churning machine of centralization, which always pushes people into debt servitude, because if they shove you down a bottomless pit of debt, you are forced to ask for a ladder up from the government and the banking system, pushing you into perfect servitude right where they want you, folks. So this is incredibly important to understand, because we're seeing it in Venezuela, and we're seeing people with wheelbarrows full of money over and over again. We've seen it in the Weimar Republic in Germany as well in the 1920s. I mean, this repeats over and over again. And what do we do about it? Well, we repeat the same old problem over and over again. And Argentina is exemplary of that fact. When you look at all of the currencies, all the versions of the stupid peso that they've destroyed over and over and over again, and thus enslaving most of the populace in Venezuela into debt, while the politicians live in massive palaces and the people drink out of gutters. This is just the inevitable end of a collectivist empire that is going to extort people, push people into debt, and use people to say, well, we are going to give you free stuff that you don't want, and you don't know that you don't want it, and then we'll steal your money out of your wallet and fund it, and you'll just go, well, the organized crime racket has guns to my head, and they say so, and they say it's for the best, so I'll let them steal my money to give me free stuff I don't want. I mean, this is just the perpetual paradigm that we've seen of the Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, repeat for eternity. John?
Well, this is like Keynesian economics, Josh, at its best, because now you're seeing all this debt, this deficit spending that they use in order to print more money into the economy to bring more inflation. Well, inflation, all that they're doing is they're just ramping up inflation to make the massive amount of debt that they are constantly accumulating less worth. But then the problem is, like, what are you going to do at the point where you can't print it fast enough because the debt is accumulating so fast? Well, you reach the point of no return, and then it's just suddenly deflating altogether, and then the central banks will panic, and you will even hyperinflate it more. So it's just not a win-win scenario here. It's a lose-lose scenario for every single central bank out there. It's just coming to a country near you. We all think that, oh, no, this is just going to be a problem, in the third world countries. Even though that some of these are a little bit advanced economies. No, like it never going to happen here. Like people saying...
Venezuela used to be the greatest utopia ever for socialism. Now look at it. It's horrible.
Yeah, I love the recent trolls that the Dollar Vigilante post... I posted there, and then they come after you about the Fed, Josh. We were talking about the fall of the monetary system. It's like, oh yeah, Jeff has talked about this for 10, 15 years. It's never going to happen. And like, look at where are you guys at now with your gold and silver and your cryptos? You must be really suffering.
You mean wealth insurance?
Yeah, your wealth insurance. And of course, these people are who knows? They might even be hired by the Fed, because if you can't keep confidence in any currency, it will fall like a rock very fast. And look at Venezuela. It's done for, well, it devalued 96%. That means that it defaulted, basically. And nobody's really talking about that as a really big story here. Yeah. It's really surprising.
John, I often notice within 5 seconds of pressing publish on a 20-minute video, I will get clearly robots, because not only do you not have time to click on the video, you have to refresh until it appears there a second after it appears, and then write a whole stupid comment, and then post it. Like within 5 seconds of a 20-minute video being up, I see comments like, you're an idiot, this happened, that happened, all incorrect information, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, where did you come from? How did you have that comment loaded? How did you have it ready to post? Obviously troll, obviously robot, because no human being can type that fast and click on it. Not to mention, most of our subscribers don't even get the notification when they click to be notified when it posts, and it doesn't show up on the subscription page for 10 to 20 minutes after the video is posted. It's absolutely absurd. I get it in on like half of my videos, and it's so obviously a troll robot comments. And it happens, folks. Check it out for yourself. Check out the time when people post comments and after my video is posted. It's impossible for them to do that in that amount of time. It's absurd.
Who knows? Maybe it's even YouTube AI bots that they have themselves that they, you know, like, oh, the government has said that we have to implement this on certain topics, you know, so AI just comes out and sniffs out, you know, as soon as it gets posted. So who knows what kind of sinister stuff going on, because who's trusting, you know, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, any of these guys anymore from what they've showed us of censorship and, you know, trying to basically it's like the Pravda on steroids. You know, they're coming after there with mass propaganda, not in the way of like actually saying different things right in our face, but removing things away slowly.
Book burning.
You know, book burning. Different information is just disappearing, you know, over time.
And these are government subsidized entities, by the way, billions of dollars over the last several years. So it's not a free market kind of private business situation. This is an information monopoly by government. It's absolutely insane. But John, finishing it off, we have this chart that you have up. I'm not sure if you've gone into showing that chart yet. Can you go into that a bit?
Well, we've shown you actually talked about it already. It's the 60. It's the percentage, of course, that the central bank has raised the interest rate to. Well, I just want to show you because, like, take a look at. Like they've been, a terrible debtor in the first place. But as you can see, like if we actually look at the interest rate before, like I just, took this chart out to, the 80s when their currency failed and the 2000s when their currency failed, and in the 80s their currency failed. And you can see, like, look at the interest rates here. It was as high as 1,400% in interest, but it just shows you like this. Like, look at the peak of 60. Like, it looked bad if you look at, like, Josh showed you the 1 year or 5-year chart, but look at this one in the long term. It's even been worse than this. So I don't think this is like, we've not seen the first with Josh. I think this is going to be another currency collapse, of course, in Argentina, and the peso is yet again going to fail so many times. You talked about and you showed my Steemit article. Go and look at my Steemit article about the history of the Argentinian peso, and even in my book, End of Freedom, How Our Monetary System Enslaves Us, I wrote about, I have a chart ever since the new peso got created in the early 1900s, and you can see it just fails over and over and over again, either in hyperinflation or they devalue the currency. It's just ridiculous, Josh.
And that book, of course, is from 2015. It's up on Amazon for you guys to check out as well. But I mean, just finishing it up, we've seen this a million times. It's not going to change. We just got to actually try and break free from the central banking system, government, collectivism in general, and free ourselves, free our minds, decentralize, rule ourselves, look to food, water, shelter, self-defense. Or not gathering things for the toughest guy on the block. Of course, gold and silver as wealth insurance. This isn't investment advice. This is my opinion. But nonetheless, I mean, it is wealth insurance. It's not meant to be an investment, gold and silver. And then, of course, you have decentralized cryptocurrencies. Most are terrible. Some are great and life-changing and earth-shattering, just unbelievable technologies that are innovating on the market and pushing people outside of the central banking system, which is a beautiful thing. You have to be independent, self-sustainable. You have to be able to, understand money, because if you have control over your money no longer has control over you, and therefore the money masters no longer have control over you, which is incredibly important. And with anything, of course, the fundamentals are off the table due to the level of manipulation in the monetary system as well as in the market. So you cannot put a date on a crash. You just know it will happen. It's inevitable. So therefore, it's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared, as I've said so often here at WHAM. So thanks for going into this with us, John. There's a lot more to talk about coming up in the future. And of course, stay tuned for a new video from our new contributor, Chris Rice, crypto here at WHAM. I'm looking forward to that. He's interviewing Colin Cantrell of Nexus, and we got a lot of stuff coming up. So stay tuned. We're going to get in more contributors. We're going to build this channel up as it was always meant to be. A channel, not a show, and we can all have our part in doing this. So I really appreciate everyone watching, and stay tuned for more from WHAM. This is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here at WHAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized by YouTube as they bring in the ADL to flag all of our content. as hate speech. Also check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out at Steemit at Josh Sigurdson, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in cryptocurrency, Steem that is. So don't forget to check us out there and find us at Anarchapulco 2019. I know it's early, but this is such an exciting event coming up with Ron Paul, Judge Napolitano, David Icke, Larkin Rose, Jeff Berwick, you know, all the usual characters, and it's going to be amazing. So we hope to see you there. Make sure to check the link for Anarchapulco below and use promo code WHAM to save as much as 15% on your tickets. We hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Wow.